T Grizzley, Rod Wave, voicemail. Let's talk about it. How y'all doing? Welcome to Let's Talk About It Music Reviews Season 11. How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. Guys, we got a pretty good episode for you today. And I will be real with you guys. I'm pretty surprised, that, hey, we got a pretty good T Grizzley and Rod Wave collaboration here. I don't know what I was going to expect, to be real with you. This is more of the Rod Wave style that I know. This is what I, used to like when I used to, listen to Rod Wave's music pretty regularly on this damn show, because he's going to be dropping an album sometime. It's probably going to be like, in like November or some shit. That's always the sad month time. When everybody gets depressed, that's when Rod Wave's going to drop his album. Alright? That's when it's going to happen. It makes sense. I understand it. But, let's get into the song now. Voicemail. First of all, this is your basic piano sample trap beat. Nothing new that I've talked about on this show. It's the same ass shit. The same ass trap drums. The same 808s. The same piano. I swear to God, every rapper just looks up sad piano 5-second loop and they just put that shit on their songs every fucking time. But, not everything's about the beat. And, when you can actually, actually perform well on these type of beats, it's not that bad to listen to, alright? Is it groundbreaking? Is it anything new? Is it, making me go, oh shit, this is fucking really fire. Whew, damn. It's not making me feel any of those type of feelings, but I think it gets the job done. And that's kind of all you can ask for, sometimes with these rappers. I mean, it is just mind-blowing that we're still using the same ass piano trap beats, using the same ass samples. It blows my fucking mind, but I guess everybody just likes that shit. Personally, in my opinion, I could like a switch up on the piano. Like, I swear to God, these rappers, it's like how do you oversimplify a sad trap soul beat? When I say that phrase, maybe you want the piano to switch up. Maybe you want better background vocals to really uplift your vocals. Maybe you want to, add some more 808s. Maybe switch the fucking drums every once in a while. I feel like we're asking for very little sometimes with these fucking piano sad trap beats. I feel like you can make these things sound way more enjoyable than they always are. But no. We just want to go generic, and that's just how it is. And Voicemail has definitely got that, generic trap instrumental. But hey, at least it's not Polo G. Polo G will sound the exact same for like 20 songs, alright? So, at least you got Rod Wave coming on here not rapping. Thank fucking God. I don't know why Rod Wave's been rapping a lot recently, but it kind of scares me now every time I'm like a new Rod Wave song. I'm like, alright, I can't wait to check this out. And then I'm like, oh shit, no. Rod Wave's fucking rapping. I mean, come on. Stick to what you know. And this is what I'm talking about, sticking to what you know. This is actually a pretty good verse in my opinion. And I'd say the hook's pretty enjoyable too from Rod Wave. The singing vocals are not too whiny. I like the background vocals. I like the little vocal switches that he's doing. The flow switches too actually come in. And I will say, for 2025 standards, this is one of the better Rod Wave verses that I've heard, recently. It felt like in 2024, I was just like, do I even know what Rod Wave even wants to do in music anymore? Do I know, what this man wants to do? This man's just rapping about his relationships for 20-ass songs. I'm like, where the fuck is the singing? Finally, we get some good Rod Wave singing, in my opinion. So that's nice. I'd say the hook does the job. Rod Wave sounds pretty good on here. Then you got T Grizzley. T Grizzley's your rap verse on here if you were, really itching for a rap verse on this song. Honestly, I would say T Grizzley did a pretty good job. Nothing bad on here. The beginning I was a little worried. I was wondering how he was going to sound on here. But I would say the flow's definitely on point. The flow sounds good. And I'd say overall, too, I think I like how T Grizzley really, does all these different flow switches on this song. Pretty enjoyable experience. I enjoy what T Grizzley did on this track. Nothing crazy, in my opinion. I feel like T Grizzley has rapped a little better. But, I like a T Grizzley verse every once in a while. I think the only problem with T Grizzley is that he kind of, he's kind of the baby. You know, he just kind of sounds the same throughout all of his songs, so you kind of need a feature to really, you know, have a T Grizzley track really stand out, in my opinion. You know, T Grizzley, you know, is just one of those things where it's kind of hit or miss. This one, though, it's not a miss. It's actually a hit, I would say. T Grizzley pretty, you know, did well on here. Flow's pretty nice. Sounds good. Then we end off with that Rod Wave hook, which just sounds really beautiful, really nice. Singing's really good. This is what I want to hear. You know, I need more, you know, singing with your damn heart out. You know, it'd just be a lot better, you know, than rapping like poorly on these like generic ass rap beats. All right, you know, at least do some really good vocals, and that's what we get on here. So yeah, guys, T Grizzley, Rod Wave, Voicemail. Overall, you know, I pretty much enjoyed this track. You know, it's nothing groundbreaking, nothing crazy. It is your simple piano trap beat. But I'd say Rod Wave had a pretty good verse on here. Had a really good hook too. Vocals were definitely on point. And T Grizzley finishes off with a pretty good rap verse. So, this song's not that bad. I'm going to give this track an easy 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10, guys. What y'all think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? I don't know. Let me know. If you're on YouTube, Spotify, Pandora, wherever you get your podcast at, make sure you follow, turn on notifications, guys. We're dropping new content every single day. And hey, we got more to talk about, all right? We got a lot of goddamn talk about. Can't even lie to y'all. So much music dropped. You know, we got a lot to talk about. So make sure you follow. I'll see you later. Have a good one.